Welcome to Lakewood Stadium in Lakewood, Washington. And tonight the Oregon Thunderbolts open their 1990-2000 season on the road at Pierce County against the Bengals. And that's going to be a tough spot for the Thunderbolts to open up their season. The Bengals have already played a game, and they actually lost last week to Bellingham. And the Thunderbolts are just opening up, and we're going to see if they're rusty. I've seen a lot of new faces this year.
There are a bunch of new faces this year. There's been quite a few Thunderbolts who are now playing for the IPFL, Portland Prowlers. So this is definitely a new-look team. New quarterback, new running backs, a lot of new faces.
And I also have a new face up here in the broadcast booth. Greg Miller has gone on to greener pastures.
And Drew Riley has taken over.
Literally, okay. I guess it's kickoff time. Thunderbolts electing to kick, or...
Actually, I think the Bengals elected to receive. They won the toss and elected to receive.
And number 7, a Portland State Viking, Dan Franz, kicks
out of the end zone.
Out of the end zone.
That's going to be a touchback. That was a nice kick. That was perfectly placed, too, because...
The guy steps out because he's trying to field the ball right over in the corner. I should have really tried to just shut up.
So it's a new-look defense with a lot of new faces and a few big pass rush inside. That was number 88, Nathan Berge.
Nathan Berge. I think what happened was just before that play, Tim, the rain started to fall even harder, and I think there was a fumble, and the ball was loose, and I think Pierce County was lucky to fall on it, and it was Berge who made the cover for the stop, but now it's 2nd and long already for the Bengals.
I thought maybe it was the second coming of Neil Clayson, because last year we enjoyed number 50 spilling into the backfield on every single play. But I guess number 50 is on safari this year?
He's in Europe somewhere. I don't know what he's doing, but he's in Europe somewhere.
So his presence will be missed. But again, we're here to see what these Thunderbolts have brought to the table. They might actually be improved in some areas. We just don't really know. Good pursuit again in the interior line, and the Bengals are going backwards.
They just stuffed that play. They tried to go up the middle. Now, David Brannon, the defensive backs coach, told me people are not going to be able to run up the middle on us this year. We're going to stuff the run and make them go outside on us or throw the ball where we can use our speed, because he says we have speed to burn this year.
Well, it looks like number 57, Aaron Dressler, will be the middle linebacker and call the signals on defense. The Thunderbolts were very thin at linebacker last year with Jeff Thomas filling in who really wanted to play quarterback, but filling in along with Glenn Vereen, the starting tailback, at linebacker to help out in a thin position. And now the Thunderbolts look pretty strong there.
And both of those guys you just mentioned are playing for the Portland Prowlers. Not much there, Tim.
Well, the Bengals notoriously love to run the football. And they'll take a game into the fourth quarter every time. Last year, I believe it was a 13-10 affair, and the Bengals, in a typical Bengal game, grinding it out. But they're going to have to find some different options if they can't get their bread and butter up the middle.
And I believe we have Mr. Andre Harris, who's going to do all the kick returning this year. He's back deep to receive the punt. Oh, we got a stoppage in play here. I wonder what this is all about.
Punt. And Andre Harris, wearing number 9 this year, back to receive, but the ball's not going to be anywhere near Harris and bounces out at the 42-yard line of the Bengals.
That's great field position to start off with. A good way for the offense to start this season.
Well, and here they come. This is our first look at the new Thunderbolts offense. And pulling the trigger now is going to be number 3, veteran from Portland State, although he didn't start. And now he's going to get his chance to shine, is Wade Sparks. He played at Oregon City High School, and he's 6'1" and 190 pounds.
And now we await a football from the Thunderbolts to get started here. Good start for the defense. They stuffed them 3 straight plays, even though there was a fumble on the first play. But still, they tried to run up the middle, and as David Brannon predicted, nobody's running up the middle on us this year, is what he said.
And so the Thunderbolts show 3 running backs.
This is a new look, and then
shift,
and then he shifts off. That's they call the Thunder Eye formation.
That was Will Morgan, number 89, the tight end. Played at Linfield. Big pass rush.
Big loss of 8 on that one.
Eric Webster, number 58, looked like he was unblocked, came off the corner, and Sparks didn't even see him.
And he came from the backside, and as we all know in football, you have to protect the backside because the quarterback cannot see that guy coming. So you absolutely have to have good blocking on that side.
And speaking of blocking on that side, number 61, a new offensive lineman, Matt Matthews from Weed, California, listed at 6'8", 360, has taken over left tackle, and David O'Neill has shifted inside to left guard. So I would guess it was Matthews on that.
Boy, that's a great way to get all that lost yardage back. That's a sweep left, and it's Alonzo Harden. Wow.
Matthews atoned for himself, made a killer crushing block around the corner, and then the fullback came in and got the second block.
So on 2nd and 18, they get 19 yards and a first down. You have to like that.
And that was Darren Martin, by the way, running back from Oregon, played at Oregon State, Western Oregon, and Sherwood High School. Another new Thunderbolt in the backfield. Casey Gallagher is a fullback, and again, this tight end shifts out to the right. Darren Martin, the tail. No, this is number 34.
Alonzo Harden, and he gets big yardage again. Now, Bob Cole, offensive coordinator, told me we're going to play smash mouth football this year. We're going to run it up there, we're going to run it down their throats, and we're just going to keep on doing it until we have to throw. And so far, it looks like they're doing a good job of that.
Well, the teams in the past have never really committed to the run, but they've been able to run. And, of course, with Glenn Vereen and all the statistics he's piled up, they have run successfully, but they seem to run in large spurts, set off with the passing game in more of a balanced attack in previous years.
In fact, I think Glenn last year became the first player in the NWFL to rush for 1,000 yards. We got flags down, and I think that's going to be 5 yards reversed on the Thunderbolts for a false start. We'll wait for the official determination here. But it looked like David O'Neill took off too quickly, so that those 5-6 yards they got on first down, or they're going to lose those, and it's going to be 2nd and 10.
Well, that's not the way they want to do a ground control drive. I watched last weekend with the Columbia Cougars team playing the team from Japan in the exhibition game, and even though they had them outsized up front, they would do that. They'd get a 6-7 yard gain, and then they'd have a penalty, and the next thing they know, they had to punt. Harden running hard.
That was a gutty run for about a 1 yard loss, maybe even no gain. That could have been a lot worse. That could have been a 5 yard loss because Harden did a good job of evading the first 3 or 4 tacklers, but there was just too many. There was just way too many for him to get away.
Right guard Bob Brown over there to help push the pile, but I guess the pile is even bigger than Bubba.
It does look like the Thunderbolts have them outsized, them being the Pierce County Bengals. So it looks to me, Tim, like they're going to be able to run up the middle all day long, just as long as they don't have too many false start penalties or any mistakes. They shouldn't have to throw very much.
Well, number 1 is Jarvis Abston, and he's checked in at tailback.
And the coaches are
very some speed to this game.
Very excited about
it. There he takes it outside, and he takes a big hit. And I see a flag down, but he got about 5 yards.
That may be, as the old saying goes, in the area generally known as holding. It looks like it came from the umpire, either that or it came from the back judge, the guy from way in back.
And he hasn't moved the stick yet either. Or has he? Well, I like this Thunderbolt team has shown a lot more, energy this year. Some of these road games, although the Bengals are usually an exception because it's a big game, but sometimes the participation level on some of the veteran players is down. And here I see everybody on the team. Oh, Harris gets a hand on the ball, can't reel it in.
That wasn't a badly thrown ball by Sparks, but perhaps it just slipped a little bit out of his hands because it's still raining here, and it looks like Harris is limping far sideline. He's trying to come back around and everything, but he's definitely limping. That can't be a good.
No.
Hear no evil, see no evil, smell no evil. It's going to be a sweep. Bengals running outside, got some blocking. Thunderbolts fight through the blocks. Look like number 42.
Actually, that looks
Rosario
like
came up underneath the ball carrier on the bottom of the
right,
pile.
and the ball carrier looked like number 21 Rodney Stokes, and well, he got 5 yards on that play.
That's a big play for these Bengals. They come out on first down, get that, and if they can keep it rolling, they'll push it down the field on you. And they've been known to have some good kickers up here in Pierce County as well. So the special teams might end up becoming a factor, and boy, they just love to grind it out.
Well, let's see if the defense can come up big again here. After a promising start, the offense didn't go very far.
Lost the ball. Didn't take the handoff and finally caught up to it and fell forward for a yard or two.
A Thunderbolt came up with the ball, but that was probably after the Bengal player had already been called down, and he just threw the football to the nearest official, and that looks like what they called. So it's going to be 3rd and about 5. So if there's any rainbow in the storm
get any
there,
yards on
yeah,
the
that's
play.
right. That's the only rainbow in the storm right there, is that they got the down over with, and they didn't give up any more yards. So thankfully for that. But now 3rd and 4, and again, the defense has to come up with a stop, give the offense the ball back. But after kind of disappointing, they had the ball at the 42-yard line of the Bengals and couldn't move it very much. Got 1 first down, and that was it.
Penalties. Well, we'll see. I was going to say the enthusiasm's high on these Thunderbolts, and they seem to be fairly organized this year. Sometimes the locker room leaders take over and the coaches don't, but I think this year the coaches seem to have a handle on what's going on out there.
Well, there's a fumble, but
unlike the quarterback.
And of course, that's the veteran quarterback. Let's see if I can get his number. Dwayne Brown, I think he's been with the Bengals for a very long time, but I think that ball is still wet out there, and it looked like he was just trying to transfer it or do something, and then he lost it. That's a big loss right there. That went from 3rd and 5 to about 4th and 17. So now it's going to be up to Andre Harris again. Maybe he can get a return out of this one this time. But that last punt was a shank.
If that last punt was shape of things to come, Harris ought to come up to about the 40-yard line and hang out on the sideline.
Yeah, the 40-yard line of the Bengals. Right now he's hanging around the 40-yard lines of the Thunderbolts.
Right.
Perhaps that was just because the ball was wet or something, but you want to give the other team as much respect as possible, and then that one wasn't much better.
That might be a wet ball, too. It had that kind of thud to it. Harris has a crease, got some blockers, and he's back to the 37-yard line.
Eric Stoddard came up with a stop for the Bengals on that one. And again, the Thunderbolts have the ball starting off in Bengal territory.
So number 1, Jarvis Abston in at tailback now with Casey Gallagher fullback. And the tight end, Will Morgan, lined up in front of Casey. And I guess it's kind of a show, like the defense can't say which side is the tight end on. Well, the tight end picks his side after the quarterback checks off at the line.
The tight end's name, I think, is Morgan Will. He's one of those guys that has 2 last names or 2 first names for a name.
Oh, is he Morgan?
Yes, it's Morgan Will. And that didn't look like there was very much there on the run to the right. So, but the Thunderbolt coaches told me they were really, really excited about Jarvis Abston, that it was a really electrifying type of runner, type of guy who can break it out and use his speed, get big yardage and everything. We haven't seen that yet, but then again, it's early.
Well, at 5'7", 165, he reminds me a little bit of Kenyatta Morgan, who played here 2 years ago in the championship team. And he was also very useful as a wide receiver. In fact, Morgan was a wide receiver, and then after we lost a tailback or two, he stepped into the backfield. But very dangerous threat all around the field.
That one looked like it went close to a first down. A Bengal player lost his helmet, or as we like to say, lost their head. but that's close to a first down, but it looks like it's a little short, so 3rd and short. But again, Alonzo Harden, and he had lots of room to roam, if
He
you
did.
will.
He had so much blocking and protection, he just had to pick a hole. I'd like to see how many yards he's accumulated so far. Because of the penalties that they've had, he's really gotten some yardage, which doesn't show on the scoreboard at this point.
And having 4 300-pound linemen to block in front of you is also a very good luxury to have in this league.
3rd down and 3. Tillery comes out wide. Casey Gallagher up the middle with the big legs, driving ahead, pushes the pile, first down.
That's a nice run by Gallagher, and that's a nicely conceived play. It looked like the Bengals were fooled. They thought they were gonna throw to the wide man, and instead they gave to the guy right up the gut. And again, Bob Cole says, smash mouth football.
Well, I kind of didn't get what Tillery was doing. It looked like he was jogging off the field to me. I didn't think he looked like a threat on the outside. I thought he was like coming out. Oh, I'm supposed to come out, coach.
But that can be used as a misdirection play as well.
No, it's 1st down and 10 on the 19-yard line. Casey Gallagher and
I think that's the
Harden
24,
in the
actually.
backfield.
Sorry, Tim. It looks like the 24.
And it's a pass from Sparks. Was that a drop? It was barely catchable. It was kind of low, and he got a flag, too. That was Morgan Will.
Let's see what the flag
I don't
is.
want that guy strangling me after the game, after he hears me call him the wrong name. It's happened more than once. These guys are pretty big and mean.
All right, let's see what the penalty is.
Number 49, Jeff Jones, 5'11", 195 linebacker, on the bench with an ice bag, so we hope he's all right. He was one of the captains earlier. I think he played some special teams. We'll keep an eye out for him. Delay inside, Harden, big hole. There's the penalty yardage and then some.
Now there must have been another penalty there because it was 2nd and about, I don't know, 10 or maybe 15, and they signaled the penalty as illegal man downfield, and now all of a sudden it was 2nd and 25. So I'm not exactly sure what happened there, but
it's the Pierce County rules. Since you're an official, I want you to explain this to me.
You used to be an official.
You have to explain these. So the run stands. Harden's big gainer. We still haven't sorted out that last penalty. It might have been illegal participation, which was a 15-yard penalty to make that big deficit.
So now it's 3rd and 9 instead of 2nd and way long.
Lots of time for Sparks. Got a man.
Threw behind him. Rod Nightingale. Well, that was too bad because he was wide open, and if he'd have got that one, he definitely had first down yardage.
And he had all day. So Sparks is scratching his head on that one. Number 22, McKay Farrell is going to be holding for Dan France. Bad snap, but France connects. Got his leg into that, and I think it's good. No, it's going to be wide.
Wow, that had a lot of mustard on it. If he could have put it between the uprights, that would have been good from about 50 or 60. So I guess they were right about him. He can really kick field goals.
Well, that was from the 31, 32. Lang, I believe, was the snapper, and he's gone this year too.
This year it's going to be Gallagher or Martinez as the short and long snappers.
Dump off pass was there, but it was poorly thrown, too high, intended for number 40.
Well, we don't have a number 40.
Our Bengal roster is a little hurting today with some names at the bottom.
It looks like there's about a dozen names here without a number, so we have no idea who that was. But the throw looked a little high, so it didn't look like he was going to get it anyway. Hey, look at this. There's 25 seconds to go in the first quarter already. Seems like we just got here.
So it's 2nd down and 10 after the incomplete pass, and the Bengals coming out with a passing play, trying to throw off that defense, who's been staring at too many guys in the box defense all night.
Double tight ends and double running backs, kind of unusual for a second
Sweep
long
right.
play.
Got a crease.
And that's Rodney Stokes again. And he ran outside. He ran on the right side, so he beat the left side of the Thunderbolt defense. Got more than enough for a first down.
Looks like number 59, James Hilliard, made the saving tackle, or that might have gone the distance. Big play. He looks kind of like Bergstrom. So the teams switch ends, and the Bengals, after the big play, now have a 1st and 10 going the other way at their own 48-yard line.
Typical Bolts-Bengals game with no scoring in a quarter. How many times have we seen that over the years?
Quite a few. Good pursuit in the backfield.
Nathan Berge ran that one down. He had a little help, but I didn't catch the number.
Number 91, Greg Gadbaugh. Gadbaugh?
I asked him about that, and he's throwing away his French heritage on that one. He said, go ahead and say Gad Boys. So we're going to go with Gad Boys.
Hillsborough High School. Defensive lineman 6'0", 240 was the guy there at the right time on that play.
And speaking of Hillsborough High, one of the possible sites for Thunderbolt home games may be in the 2000 season is at Hare Field, where he played a lot.
Second down, 11 yards to go.
Okay. Second long 11. Bengals run. 3 yards and no dust on the turf.
Yeah, too much wetness for that, but not much yardage either. So again, prophetically, Brandon says nobody's running up the middle on us. They're going to have to run outside and deal with our speed.
That was Robert Kellis, number 58, another new linebacker, and boy, does he have some size. Foothills Junior College, 6'3", 248. I thought he looked like an offensive tackle out there. Huge linebacker.
Yeah, Thunderbolt home games this year, they're down to 3 possible sites. One, which is highly unlikely, so we won't even talk about that. Hare Field is the second one, and the third one is the Kiggins Bowl in Vancouver, Washington. So if you can believe this, the Oregon Thunderbolts may be playing their home games in Vancouver, Washington this year.
Not at Park Rose.
Apparently not, according to the information I got. That pass looked like it was way overthrown. But even then, that looked like it was good coverage.
I think both of these teams ought to stick with a ground game, personally, so far, the way the balls have been thrown. Although in both cases, the team's receivers are getting open. It's just the balls aren't getting there. 4th down now, 4th down and 10, and looks like Alonzo Harris is... Andre Harris is back with his ankle. Was sore earlier. Actually, he was back a couple of punts ago, but we saw him gimping around the goalpost earlier. So if Andre gets the ball, I kind of doubt it.
And that looks like Samuel Brown, who's the punter for the Pierce County Bengals. That ball.
Bengals have a shot at the goal line,
but it gets in the end zone. So too bad there. The punter is from Nathan Hale High School. I used to live up here a long time ago. And Hale's actually in Seattle, one of the motto there.
Morgan lines up on the left, shifts to the left this time. Tillery running left. Uses his power.
I think that was actually Alonzo Harden again. Now, I was told that he wouldn't play a lot at running back, but apparently, maybe because he's like one of the very few running backs that's here, that's why he's getting all these carries.
Harden gets 4 yards, and that line is kind of looking like the Dallas Cowboys to me.
I mean, they look big. I mean, you can just look at them, and they just look like they're just merely like road graders. They're just simply moving the line back and creating all the space for Harden or anybody else to run. Well, not that time, it
Harden
looks like.
Breaks away from a tackle inside. That was over number 1. That was Michael Keys. Didn't have a prayer when he got hit and landed on his back.
That was a nice, tough run by Harden that time, and that gets him a first down, too. Need to see more runs like that. Yeah, no flags down. That's probably something you're not going to see this year. Thunderbolt teams in the past, generally you could tell how well they did by how many penalty yards they had. As in, the more penalty yards they had, the better they did. But I don't think that's going to happen this year.
Can I write that down?
Andre Harris and Rod Nightingale are the two wideouts. Will shifts left. Gallagher and Harden in the backfield. Sparks, hands off. Harden inside. Harden trying to get his feet loose. Can't.
That's still another good 2-3 tough yards, and it's not as though now that the Bengals are stuffing them. They're still getting some yards on the play. The other thing this might set up, since the rain is now stopped and maybe the ball's staying drier, is this may set up the play-action pass and a big pass play.
Well, we know Harris can get loose, and we know that line can protect. We've seen Sparks with some time to throw. Now, if Sparks can connect, then the Thunderbolts could have a big play. Harden checks out.
And it looks like they also took Will out, and so they're going to put Nathan Berge in to be what they call the Thunderback.
And Jarvis Abston takes over at tailback. Fake handoff, big pass rush, fumble, ball rolling around. Covered by Big Bob Brown. Heads up play by the guard.
And again, where did the Bengals come from? They came from the weak side, the blind side, and Sparks didn't have a chance, even though it was a play-action pass like I thought they would do, and probably they had an open receiver down there. When you don't have time to throw, that's exactly what's going to happen. Or if you have enough time to throw.
I would say that Sparks had time to do something about it if he was aware, because that guy didn't look especially fast, and Sparks is not a large quarterback. Looked like he could have eluded that sack if he'd have known he was coming, but I don't think he has the presence to notice his backside.
And that's why backside protection in the passing game is so important. If he can see what's coming, then he can run and get some yardage. But instead, that's a huge loss. And now there's a flag, and that's probably going to even be more yardage. Okay.
And it looks like 5 more tacked on. Rod Nightingale jumped over there at the far split wideout.
And now it's 3rd and forever, about 26 yards according to the scoreboard.
And it's going to be picked off, and it's probably going to go the distance. Nope, the Thunderbolts. Nope, he's still up. Struggling. Tackled by...
Well, the ball came loose.
Number 67, that's Justin Wachnick.
The ball came loose, but the officials are standing at the 1-yard line, so I can only assume that that's where he was stopped. It was Kurt Fain. It's 5'5", 190. Actually, they list him as a linebacker, and he came over as a free safety ball, the wet pigskin.
Well, if I'm counting properly, Sparks has not completed a pass yet. He had one dropped, and he's thrown a couple errant balls, and now he's got an interception for a touchdown.
And I think you're right. Short pass. Nice
play. Looked like, was that Brett Wells, number 31, got his hand up there?
Greg Gadbaugh got that one. Brett's not going to be here today. Apparently he won't be until the Thunderbolts' next game at the Oregon Panthers, which I believe will be at Milwaukee High School. So, in a way, it's a road game, but also...
Next Saturday, 6 o'clock.
Right.
We'll be there. Hope you're there. Come down to the Thunderbolts' old stomping grounds, Milwaukee High School, downtown Milwaukee. It's on Washington or Main Street right down there.
Sounds right to me.
See Brett Wells bark. Come on down.
And hear it, too.
So, 2nd and goal.
Now, that last play didn't work at all. So, let's see. Now they're going to try the run.
That didn't work at all either.
And that looked like a Thunderbolt defensive team picture right there. In fact, I think Jake Hendricks, the cornerback who would be at the bottom of our screen, was the only guy who wasn't there on that play. And I think they lost a yard, too.
I think they lost yardage, too, and that brings up 3rd down. And if they can stop them one more, we might have to test their kicker.
Now you have to like that. The defense comes up big twice now after a turnover, and that's what you have to have. Your defense has to be able to bail your offense out when they make a mistake, and it looks like
I have to hand
a player or two away.
One kudo for stopping the returner at the 2-yard line, because it would have been just as easy to let him go ahead and jump in the end zone, or else the defense wouldn't have had a chance here. Handoff inside, hit, stopped.
And again, another Thunderbolt team defensive picture. Just about everybody was in on that one.
Looked like Aaron Dressler, number 57, the middle linebacker.
He got there first.
Credited with the tackle.
And now here comes their kicker.
Now, they used to have an old guy who was a kicker. I don't know if he's still around.
No, they have number 34, Chris Horan, 5'9", 250. Rather big guy, but apparently, according to this roster...
I'm sorry, he's not that big.
Apparently,
he is number 34.
Right. But apparently, according to this roster, he played for the Bengals last year. So he has a chance to give them the lead.
They had another guy I think he shared time with last year. Maybe that guy's not around. I forget.
I remember he used to wear number 11, but I forget what his name was. But he always wore number 11.
He had one of those old Mark Mosley face guard.
Right, the one with a single bar that goes across your mouth. Yeah.
So you knew he was old. Just so you knew he was old.
Old or not very bright. Take your pick. Maybe even both.
Brave?
Well, okay. Sometimes bravery and stupidity are synonymous with each other.
Good snap. Kick looks good.
Oh, he missed it.
It's so hard to tell from up here, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It is so difficult to tell.
As long as that ball kind of goes in the straight direction and high, you cannot assume it's good, but it's hard to tell from up here.
And I think what happened
week after week, pass interference is 15 yards. In the next game, pass interference is where the ball lands. The rules seem to change every week, and yet the officials seem to know the rules.
Well, I think, as you know, I used to officiate this. That was a nice run by Harden. They got 8-9 yards on that running right behind the right side, which is actually the slightly smaller side of the Thunderbolt line. That was a nice run.
Only 700 pounds.
Oh, as opposed to the 800 on the other side.
Anyway,
but being a former official, especially of this team, I can tell you that they have little wrinkles everywhere you go, like almost local customs that must be abided by every place you go. But we tried to call it the way the league said to call it. So, and
that is what, high school, NCAA,
high school with a few exceptions.
Harden left. And I like that style Harden has of churning his legs. He runs kind of high, but so far it seems to have worked. He's broken a couple tackles running that high.
And it is a very hard runner. I'm very impressed with him so far. But getting back to the rules thing, it's mostly high school rules, but they have tinkered with it a little bit. For a while they were playing the pro down by contact rule, right, where you had to be covered or tackled by somebody on the defense, otherwise you could get up and run with it. And then they went to the high school rule, which is you're down.
Your knee touches, you're down.
Exactly. And then now they went back to the pro rule, from what I understand, to the you can get up and run rule.
If you fall down, I think it's ridiculous. You can't get up and run. That's especially around here where it's slick.
Exactly.
Sparks throwing. Oh, and that would have been picked off, except for a big, possible interference play on Andre Harris, breaking it up, playing some defensive back there. Again, underthrown. Harris was open.
He was open, and it looked like Sparks was going to get it to him, but it could have been that the ball just slipped out of his hand because he was open in the seam of the Bengals zone. So that's kind of unfortunate, but at least now it's second down instead of third down and long.
Well, of all the passes that we've seen, all the kicks that we've seen, Dan France got underneath this ball, but everywhere else it seems to be a very heavy football today. The punts aren't going far, the passes aren't going far. Maybe the ball's just sloppy wet.
It looks like a very old turf here at Lakewood, so it could be that it just retains a lot of water. Not much there for Harden, was there?
Now, I like that pass play action by the quarterback, Sparks. He handed that off inside, and I didn't see him hand it off, and he looked like he was fading back to pass. So we'll keep up with our quarterback school here today.
Well, now we're at the 2-minute warning, it looks like. It says 1:59 on the clock, but they might put that back to 2 minutes. But that's one of the customs that they have in this league, is they use the pro 2-minute warning in each half. Now,
the clock runs until the play's over, and then they stop it. Third down and 9. Now 2 minutes left in the first half. Scoreless game. And it's the usual blood and guts slam up the middle game with the Pierce County Bengals and the Oregon Thunderbolts. Wade Sparks avoided the rush that time, felt that backside pressure, got the ball off, and I don't know, that might have even been catchable.
Well, he threw it behind Rod Nightingale, and I think every time he's thrown the ball, it seems like it's wet because it seems to slip out of his hands a little bit, and he just doesn't have the control. It could be that Wade has very small hands, and as you know, when you have a small-handed quarterback, any little thing can knock off your accuracy. Any little thing, one drop.
That explains a lot, Scott.
So now here comes Franz for punting. He's supposed to do all the kicking.
Now, yeah, we haven't seen the Thunderbolts punt tonight, have we?
No, we have not, because we've had the ball inside their territory every time except for this one. And that wasn't a half-bad kick either.
Casey Gallagher, but it rolled back to Franz, but Franz got it out of there. And that looked like number 10. And they made the tackle. I don't have him on my roster.
Oh my. Okay. I guess we just haven't figured out who that young gentleman is than anything else. I think he's a good throwing quarterback. It's just, right now it's a typical Pierce County versus Oregon Thunderbolt game.
And who is the backup quarterback? Is that Ryan Ivanoff?
Right, Ryan Ivanoff, but he's not going to be here, so...
Oh, so it's going to be the Spark show no matter what.
Well, they do have an emergency quarterback, but they failed to tell me who that was going to be on Thursday. They joked that it was going to be... Brian Van Den Akker, but and he was pumped up for that possibility as well. I remember talking to him about that. But I think it's going to be Sparks' show.
Van Den Akker.
Van Den Akker. Okay.
By the way, that pass was intended for number 80, Michael Evans, for the Bengals. And again, their quarterback not connecting as well.
Right, and that's why I feel that the conditions have more to do with anything. All these incomplete passes, it has to be.
Well, so far in this game, I'll get back. We should probably go and cut our camera off or not. We have to consider.
No, I'm not.
Okay, we're back here, and apparently what we had was a wildcat strike by the chain gang, and so they had to recruit 3 new guys to run the chains, and so now we're back to action.
So that there was no penalty on that last play.
No penalty, just a new chain crew.
And the clock is back and running, so the Bengals are burning time right now. Stump, back to throw. Ball's very high. Looked like someone got a hand on it. Intended for number 5, Matilla Jr. Junior Matilla.
He just Brown just airmailed that one. He was trying to throw that up there and let Matilla run underneath it and maybe get a few yards. But I think, again, the conditions, it's starting to rain a little bit again. That ball is just getting wet, and the quarterbacks are having a heck of a time trying to throw accurate passes. And we're 53 seconds to go until halftime, and we still have no score. And the Bengals, blew the best chance. They had the ball at the 1-yard line, couldn't put it in, and then they missed the field goal attempt.
Yeah, but this game so far, I've been impressed that the Thunderbolts seem to be moving the ball on offense.
And there's a sack.
And they've been playing good defense, but the Thunderbolts have been the more solid team during this game, except for the mistakes. Now, the Bengals have not been able to move the ball. Maybe they got a couple plays, but they haven't been able to move the ball, and the Thunderbolts have been able to move the ball. They've been able to run the ball, and they get in trouble when they throw it. No score, but the Thunderbolts seem to be winning this game on both sides of the ball.
It looks like the Thunderbolts are going to take a timeout here to try and conserve some time. Maybe get a chance to get everybody set. Because they're supposed to go 1, 2, 3, and they're supposed to stand the way when the team calls the timeout.
Well, maybe it was just for the benefit of the excitement of the game and the crowd. They called the timeout so that the Thunderbolts could get a big kickoff return and maybe score before halftime.
A good punt return would be great here.
A good punt block. Not there. But it looks like Harris going to get underneath this one. Nice block inside. Missed tackle. Harris gets back across midfield, and the Thunderbolts have 20 seconds to work with after the Bengals mysteriously called timeout.
And we have a flag down. I think the Thunderbolts will keep the ball, though. I think that was a dead ball penalty because they marched that off from the end of the run on the punt, so they have the ball at the 34-yard line of the Bengals.
Well, Christmas comes early for the Thunderbolts, and they have 20 seconds, and I believe all their timeouts left, at least 2, to get down into Dan Fran's field goal range, which is not far, although the wind is blowing against it. Sparks airs it out. Nice play by number 7, Stan Williams, knocking it down. He's a big, tall guy, and Nightingale didn't have much of a shot at it.
Right, but the thing about that was they protected his backside this time. He had time to throw. It's just that Rod Nightingale just didn't look like it was really open. But I think right now, I talked to special teams coach Clint McNaughton. He said, by what he said, they're already in Dan Fran's field goal range.
Well, I hope so. The wind has been coming out of that end zone, so it might be moved up a little bit on this side. Lots of time. Complete! And out of bounds.
Now let's see where they mark this. It looks like it's a little short of a first down. That would have been better if they would have. Let's see where they mark this. It looks like it's slightly short of a first down here. Now they only have 9 seconds, so I'm thinking they only have time for one more play, maybe one shot at the end zone before they line up for that Franz field goal anyway. So maybe it's good that they didn't. Franz is already out there, so they're not going to take any chances. They're just going to do it now.
So into the stiff wind. It is windy and rainy, although the rain seems to be coming kind of straight down right now.
And that looks like a 41-yard field goal. That's actually Justin Wachnick doing the holding. That's one change I didn't give you. Sorry about that, Tim. That's Justin Wachnick, Jason's little brother, holding for Franz.
Franz short. Ball's caught in the end zone. Live football.
Yes, they can run that out in this league.
Time expires. And that was number 7, Stan Williams, who got hit hard at the end of the half, and it was a heads-up play for him to try and run that out.
So it's halftime, and surprise, surprise, Thunderbolts Bengals, no score.
Score. We've seen this before. It's like a bad dream.
A bad recurring dream.
Well, the Thunderbolts showed us the Thunderbolts coach, offense coordinator Bob Cole, was impressed with the team in general. Like I was saying earlier, the Thunderbolts seem to be dominating this game. They just don't have any points.
And that's a nice run back by Rod Nightingale. He had it at about the 2-yard line and got it all the way out to the 34 off Haran's kick. So good kick by Haran, better return by Nightingale. So a good way to start off the second half. And
it was only out to the 30, but we'll give him that.
Okay, it looked like he went out to
or has 77 yards on 11 carries, so he's averaging 7 yards a carry. And Bob Cole is predicting more of same. He thought they actually threw the ball too deep in the first half, and now they're going to just try and grind it out. They're going to try and run. They're going to try and throw short, which they really didn't do much of in the first half. And that makes some sense, especially in these conditions.
And it looks like Junior Matilia got in on that tackle, so but not much there, not even a yard it looks like, maybe a football or two.
So it brings up 2nd down and 9. Coach Cole also wanted to get the ball out to the tight end, who hasn't seen any action. Basically get the short passing game running, help that set up the running game. But he's just more than impressed with the push of the line, the size, the intensity, and the enthusiasm of the push up front.
Right, and it's just been mistakes and the weather conditions that have stopped Sparks from completing more than just one pass. I mean, if it's not raining, I think the Thunderbolts have a good 2 or 3 touchdown lead by now. But that's just the way things go. But we're in the Northwest, so you have to expect it to rain sometime. And I guess summer isn't officially here yet, so I guess it can legally rain. Mother Nature has the right to rain on us before summer actually starts.
Well, it's football meant to be played in this kind of weather anyway.
That's very true, and these guys have all grown up playing football, and they know that they should know how to play football in the rain, so I agree with you there.
3rd down and 5, short pass outside to Harden. Harden breaks some more tackles, but I don't think he's going to get there.
No, he looks like about a yard short of the first down there.
No, where they're marking it, Oh, no, he had to get to the 40, didn't he?
Yes, he had to get to about the 40, and he looks about a yard short. So I think Franz will have to come out to kick. However, I haven't seen him trot out there yet, so they may go for it. I have yet to see Franz go out there, so they may be going for it here.
Well, I have to hand out some accolades in the first half to two people. One, the guy who tackled the Bengals player who made the interception and ran it down to the 2-yard line. That was a huge play, but the fact that he stopped him, he almost broke the tackle and got in the end zone, but he was stopped. I think it was one of the offensive linemen or the tight end. That was a huge play because then the defense backed him up with a 3-and-out and a missed field goal attempt to keep the Bengals off the scoreboard.
That was a nice ground ball to Franz on the snap, and it doesn't look like Kurt Fain is going to have a chance to return. That was a great kick. They're inside the 15-yard line, so a little
Jake
shooter's
Hendricks
roll
down
there. Yeah, little shooter's roll there. That looked.
Jake Hendricks, number 5, the corner.
And I think London's over on the other, or not London, but well, he just got run over on the play. He just got run over on the play, so he's
number 30. That's Sal Corona.
Sal Corona, correct? Yes, Sal Corona's, and they're actually very high on him. Corona and Hendricks, and. They did a good job stringing out that play.
Well, I guess there was a fumble there.
Right, but they did a good job of stringing out that play and forcing the fumble, and they lost 3 yards. So, again, the defense, I have to agree with you, the defense and the offense are doing their jobs. It's just things are not happening. The intangibles, the weird and funny things that happen in football have been happening to them. That's why they don't have any points yet.
Corona is listed at 5'7", 185. It's a pretty small corner. That's not going anywhere. He ran right into Nathan Berge.
And also Dressler came in and helped finish up on that one. So that's another yard tacked on, so 3rd and long. So now they have to throw, and as we both know, each quarterback has 1 completed pass attempt. So that looks good for the Thunderbolts there. What would even be better would be an interception for a touchdown and get those zeros off the scoreboard for the guests.
Well, it's good to see this Thunderbolt defense back. In the past years, they've been getting older. They've been inconsistent. They've missed road games. They've had to bring in offensive players to fill in, and they've also been kind of shorthanded up front. So guys would show up one week, but not the next. And this team seems very cohesive, very responsive to coaching. And and almost 2 points richer there.
But we have a late flag thrown in, and let's see what that's going to be all about. It looked like that a receiver, a Bengal receiver, and I can't get his number right now. It might be 13. Muhammad Alexander came down and threw a block, and then the pass was thrown. Now, if that's the case, that's offensive pass interference, which would be a loss of down because they play mostly high school rules. Now, I don't know whether they play high school rules for the offensive pass interference. We do know for the defensive they do. So let's see if we can get a signal on what actually happened there. But you can see a couple of Bengals arguing with the referee.
It looks like they might have declined something because they haven't moved the ball.
Well,
maybe they'll just decline it and take fourth down.
Apparently they are going to kick. They're trying to get the punt team out there, but even if it was a penalty, it'd only be half the distance to the goal line. So not much of a difference there. So they'll just have to bring the kicker out again for another punt. And now another chance for Andre Harris to provide a little excitement for the Thunderbolts. Samuel Brown to punt for the Bengals.
Good rush by Berge. Here's Harris. Cuts back. Got some room.
Got some room out there if he can get over there.
Big guy there. He got around him. Good non-block by 58. Could have took the clip, Robert Kellis, but elected not to. And so the Thunderbolts will get good field position on about the 38-yard line of the Bengals.
And that was an 11-yard return, but it looked like if he could have got out there, that big guy that you were talking about blew up that play a little bit, strung it out enough, because if he could have jobbed there, I mean, he must have some speed.
Coach Cole was singing the praises of, it was number 7, Stan Williams, thought that their safety,
Jarvis
31, that the Bengals safety is having a heck of a game. And
Michael Keys tackling his opposite number for the Thunderbolts, Jarvis Abston, one-on-one
we have a
there.
Thunderbolt coach down on the sidelines.
And let's see if we can figure out which coach that is.
Maybe it's Bill. No, coach. This is the coach.
And he seems to be all right, but you know, all these coaches, they're former football players themselves. They've probably taken harder hits than that. It says fourth down on the box, but it's actually only second down, second and about 8. It looks.
These aren't Union chain crew guys
right.
we have now.
They were calling for local 174, the chain gang union, but nobody answered the call. So
fake pitch inside. Casey Gallagher's got the ball, rolling forward. Got about 3.
Nice
moving in that positive direction towards Dan Fran's field goal land.
And nice counter crossbuck play. Got at least a couple of yards on it, so it gets it a little bit closer for France. But again, the conditions down there, that turf is really wet, and kickers will tell you that a wet turf is not conducive to kicking, because they always wonder if that plant foot is going to slip out from under them, and it's going to be a terrible kick. It gets blocked, it gets sent back the other way, and one of the burner guys who comes around picks up the ball and goes in for an easy 6.
And then they have to make the tackle.
Exactly. Yeah. So they're definitely worried about that, but they're definitely in Fran's range.
3rd down and 6. Sparks to throw. Got a man. Tied in. Complete. First down.
Morgan Will.
And that was the tight end Coach Cole was talking about, that short-range passing game, which is used to set up the running game, which was kind of not heard from in the first half.
And what Coach Cole told me about the offense was, even if the opponent zones, he's still not going to try to flood a zone. What he'll just try to do is have the receivers sit in an open area in between guys in a zone, and that's exactly what happened there. Will just went to an open area. Sparks got him the ball and a first down.
And Will's a big, tall tight end, is listed at 6'4", 220.
And we have an official timeout. Something wrong with the clock.
Probably is. Handoff. Harden. Big hole. Linebacker's there, and he pays the price. That was number 44.
47.
Well, Sio Fakatufafita?
Oh, yes. I'm going to let you handle that one.
I'm used to Sio. He's been in this league long before I've been here, I'm pretty sure.
He's been around for quite a while. I think just about every announcer has probably gotten his last name wrong. So probably everybody just calls him Sio and just leaves it at that. But Sio with the tackle, but not after a 4-yard gain from Alonzo Harden.
And a little bit of pounding. Harden took it to him, and Sio ended up on his back. Harden and Gallagher shift to a pro formation. Will splits out. Well, doesn't split out. Lines up left. Fake handoff. Sparks in trouble. Big trouble. And that's bad news for the field goal unit if they wanted to try that.
Hiram McGilly came around. He beat O'Neal and blew up that play big time. Sparks didn't have any place to go, because that's one of those rollouts where you fake one way and come the other way, and McGilly just blew that up. I mean, once Sparks turned, there was McGilly, and he had no place to go.
I think they call it a naked play, and in that case, Sparks kind of had his pants down.
He was definitely naked on that one.
Okay, 3rd down and 16-ish. Will moves to the right. Nightingale and Harris out, and Gallagher goes out in the flat. Handoff inside, Harden. Nice fake. Harden gets back some yards. It's probably going to be the field goal unit.
Right, it's probably just going to get better field goal range for Dan Franz. That was a nice play, well developed, but again, that was Sio who came in and stopped the play from being a first down. So
it looked like Gallagher, the fullback out in the flat, had no one out there. It looked like if they could have got him the ball, he might have been able to lumber down that sideline on the far side. But it worked out well enough because Sparks didn't even have the ball by the time he was out there. He'd already handed it off.
So now we're going to have Justin Wachnick, holding for Dan Franz.
And who's the center? Who's the snapper?
And I think they said that it would either be... I actually have this written down here if I can read it. Well, now there's the field goal attempt, and that didn't look very good, did it? It was either going to be Casey Gallagher or Emil Martinez.
He's emerged from the big huddle there of guys. It was Gallagher. Gallagher doing a better job than, can I say it? A little room for improvement for the deep snapping so far for the Thunderbolts. Bengals take over and fumble the ball. Looks like Stump just landed on it after he dropped it.
Actually, it looks like running back Kevin Clark jumped on that one. The quarterback, David Stump, couldn't get to it. It got away from him. And, a football is not designed to take a true bounce. That thing can go anywhere, and especially when it's wet, it becomes pretty close to a grease pig. And it got away from him, but luckily the running back was there to fall on it. Otherwise, Thunderbolts have great field position just outside the 20.
Is that why they call it the pigskin?
I
know
think
they don't
so.
make them out of pigskin.
I think that's actually made out of cowhide, but
right.
Or maybe that's baseball.
That's what I've heard too. I've heard that the NFL uses like 300 cows worth of leather for their footballs per season,
And William Bennett with the carry on that one, but he didn't get a whole heck of a lot, if anything. He may have even lost a half a yard. So again, the Thunderbolt defense, very impressive. Just
very impressive.
Not giving up big plays, just basically stalling the Bengal offense.
Not giving up little plays, not giving up
anything, really.
Short yardage ground control of anything.
And now it's just going to be up to the offense or maybe even the defense to score some points and put this thing away, because I'm thinking 10 points puts this game away, especially in this rivalry. And we're 2 minutes to go here in the third quarter. 1 or 2 touchdowns.
Might be overtime. Handoff inside, good play. But the defense gets there late, and the play really doesn't develop enough outside for them to get very many yards. He had some room to go at the beginning, but then he kind of slowed down behind his blocker, and the defense pursued, and he only got about 4 yards.
Steve Rosario came up with the cover on that one. It was only a gain of 4 for Rodney Stokes. So 4th and 6, and they'll have to kick again. I don't think they're going to go for it here. Now, Coach Baines is talking to somebody. That doesn't look like the regular punter. Now, I wonder what that's all about. I don't think he's going to go for it. 4th and 6 from his own 25. Now here comes the kicker. So maybe a little psych out job there. Make it look like you're going to go for it, and then send the kicker out there.
Number 66, Ryan Collier for the Bengals, kind of gimping out.
And now the Bengals have to call a timeout.
Now deep is Harris. In front of him is Darren Martin, running back from Sherwood, Oregon State.
And apparently the new punter is Nick Clancy, and he got off a good kick that time.
Because no one came after him. They just stood there. No one even brushed the guy.
But Nick,
and then they didn't block either.
And Nick's not even a guy who's on our Pierce County roster, let alone have a number. But we'll write that
Maybe
down here.
Maybe they borrowed him from the Jets this week. No, probably not.
I don't think the Jets and the Bengals are that tight. I think they hate us just as much as they. All three teams, I think don't like each other. You could throw them all in a room, and I'm sorry, there wouldn't be a lot of agreement. It's just one of the two natural rivalries we have in this league.
They both hated us more because we're from Oregon, and we don't necessarily belong in their exclusive Washington little clique up here.
And you also have to remember how many former Bengals and Jets played for the Thunderbolts.
That's true. Harden outside, and they talked about this at halftime. He said it's there. Coach Cole thinks everything's there against this defense. He really does.
Everything's there, but they can't get it into the end zone, and that's the thing is you can move the ball up and down the field, but if you can't punch it inside the red zone, 20 or 30 or whoever
we've missed 2 field goals,
and those first two possessions were deep inside Bengal territory, and they came up empty.
So second down and a long 2 now kind of opens the door for whatever you want to throw, but
I say a play-action pass would be good here. They've
a play-action pass with long options and short options.
It looks like they've softened them up enough to do it. I think they should do it here.
They'll run Casey up the middle. Yep. That's why I'm the man.
And Coach Tim. Oh, now was he called down? Was he called down? It looks like he was, and that's the siren for the end of the quarter.
Okay, beginning of the fourth quarter, no score. 3 missed field goals between the two teams. Pierce County missed from close in, and Dan Franz for the Thunderbolts has missed 2 longer ones against the wind.
2 tough yards for Alonzo Harden up the middle. And I still think it may even only take a touchdown to win this game right now. We're in the fourth quarter.
A field goal.
I mean, it could very well be.
Safety.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
A safety could do it.
That's pretty
yes.
likely, too, the way these teams on defense are playing.
It
may well be a defensive score.
Exactly. I was just about to say that. It may take a defensive or special team score to do this, because the offense, even though, the Thunderbolt offense is at least
they're moving the ball,
but they just can't finish when they get in the red zone.
Second down and long 7. Handoff inside Harden. Got a lot of backs, offensive linemen to look at, and finally
there might have been a fumble. There might have been a fumble, and let's see. They're stopping the clock, and that's not a good sign, because there could have that. I think they're going to call it a fumble. There was just a mass of bodies in there, and the referee is signaling that we're going the other way, so that was a fumble. Rest is on. I may go into the 2 types of overtime that they play in the Northwest Football League.
Well, last week the Columbia Cougars, who hosted the team from Japan, Asahi Challengers, played the college 25-yard line format, and the Cougars were unable to score, and their kicking game was so miserable they went for it on 4th down. And then the Challengers were also unable to move the ball, and they just brought their kicker in and nailed the winning field goal.
And there was that man again, Aaron Dressler, who stuffed Rodney Stokes, and it looks like we're going to have a timeout from somebody here. They've stopped the clock for some reason. Well, perhaps not. I guess we'll move along then. It looked like they stopped the clock.
Maybe Coach Baines was calling 2 plays.
That could very well be. But they lost a yard on that last one.
Second down, 11.
Thus far, the Bengals unable to really move the ball against the Thunderbolts.
I think they have maybe 1 first down the whole game.
That would have been an interesting question for our stat crew. Seems like that's kind of where they've gotten their only offensive production is off tackle outside when they really fool the defense somehow.
Yeah. Cutback run by Kevin Clark, actually listed as a fullback, and looked like he got about 3-4 yards there. But again, 3rd down, and I don't think I can remember anybody who's converted a 3rd down today. I really don't.
Yeah, the pass to the tight end, I believe, was a 3rd down play.
That would be the only one that I can remember between the 2 teams.
Between the 2 teams.
And that's one indication that defensive and offensive coaches will look at as far as how well you're doing. How do you do on 3rd down? If you stop them on 3rd down, or if you get first downs. And 1 first down between the 2 teams on 3rd down tells you that the defenses are dominating.
And 1 completed pass for the Bengals. That one was completed somehow.
Off the hands. Well,
Muhammad Alexander, number 13.
Ended up with the ball, but it went off the hands of number 87, and we don't have one on here. We have, as we said, some names with no numbers.
Well, it went off a couple Thunderbolts, too. I mean, that ball was supposed to be picked, and the Thunderbolts got their hands on it first, tipped it to Muhammad, and there's your 3rd down conversion.
There's the first one there, and that just...
But do you call that a completion?
Of course. Of course you have to call it a
Like the
completion.
immaculate reception or something. I guess.
Well, we don't have the infamous double touch rule, because if we did, that would be an incomplete pass. But that was NFL way back in the early 70s. Defensive players' hands, only one person could touch the ball. If a second person touched
that rule is no longer in effect.
It hasn't been in effect for over 25 years. Probably they changed it after the immaculate reception.
Could
as
handle
many
the ball.
guys as you want that are eligible receivers. That's a fumble, but I think the quarterback got back on that one. And again, that's David Stump in there at QB now instead of Brown. Well, apparently not. No, that's number 6, David Jones, who came up with the ball.
A lot of new faces on this Bengals team I have seen.
As well.
I don't recognize a lot of the familiar skill players. I don't know the linemen. Actually, the linemen, too, have changed. They used to have a lot of Pacific Islanders on their lines in the past, and I think there's a few on the roster, but I haven't called any of their names or seen them in the game. I
think both coaches, Mac McInnes and Ron Baines, are looking over at the other sidelines and seeing a lot of different faces than what they're used to seeing.
David Stone back in the ball game. Second down, 11.
2nd down, 11. Handoff out, takes it outside.
And there's another one of those gentlemen that we have a number, but no, well, you don't have a number either. We just have names with no numbers, and it has to be one of them. Maybe the PA announcer can clue us in as to who that was, but it was number 32.
Might be one of these running back guys down
It could be one of those running back guys down there.
Devin Spencer, Jared Trigg.
Or Armand Holman. But I think the PA announcer has the same roster that we do, so he has no idea either. And he's a radio guy. He's wearing a KJR shirt, so he's definitely got some radio experience, but he's scratching his head just as much as we are.
Well, it looked like Jake Hendricks made that stop outside for the Thunderbolts, or at least he was in on it.
Which is a good job.
A long ways away from here.
Considering Hendricks is the cornerback, and he just left his guy and made the tackle, and they lost 2 yards or 1 yard off of that.
Yeah, 3rd down and 12 now for the Thunderbolt D. And they're licking their chops, stacking the box. Here comes a pass rush and a flag.
It's one of those throwback screens to that number 32 guy whose name we don't know, but there's a flag on the play. And generally, when you see a flag thrown on one side or the other on the original line of scrimmage, sometimes some officials throw it on the team that they're going to call the penalty on. Now, if you go by that theory, they threw it on the Bengals side, and it is indeed a penalty on the Bengals. And I'm sure the Thunderbolts, because the pass was incomplete, will refuse the penalty and make them kick. Or they may opt for the extra 5 yards and make them run the play again. But we'll see.
That probably wouldn't help them at this point.
And they do decline
They probably don't want to give them 5 yards to try and be able to down the ball inside the 10-yard line on a punt, whereas it might roll into the end zone for a touchback.
But again, there's Nick Clancy in there, and we'll have to see if he can somehow pin the Thunderbolts in there. He is out there to kick, and now the Thunderbolts
are probably playing prevent fake punt here on defense. So they don't. Harris is back, but they got to be smelling fake punt when they're this deep in their own territory. And it looks like a punt. No rush at all. Maybe that's that kind of prevent defense, and as opposed to they're just playing it very conservative, as opposed to trying to rush the punter and give away a first down conversion.
And it ends up being a touchback as he kicks for the coffin corner but doesn't make it. So now we have 8-6. Then they would have went after him. Looks like we have a new receiver in.
I say you go after him anyway and try and block it myself. I'll have to tell the coach again.
Looks like we got a new receiver outside, Anthony Jordan, but they give the ball to Harden.
Inside, big yards again. Harden gets his patented 7. Big push from that line, and we got 7 minutes and 40 seconds left. Just enough time for the Thunderbolts to march 7 yards at a clip down the field and get a touchdown and put the game away.
That would be a great way to go. Run out the clock, score any points, and leave little or no time whatsoever for the Bengals to come back.
You mentioned overtime, that there would be 2 different possibilities. I don't know which one. That game that I saw last week was not necessarily an official league football game. So what would be the other chance to be an additional overtime period? Or
Well, there's Andre Harris getting a first down first on the short pass. But you mentioned one of the options for overtime, which is what they call the college from the 25-yard line. Basically, you have 1st and 10 from the 25-yard line of the opponent, and you can get first downs and all these other things. The other possibility is they could just play the NFL overtime, which is one 15-minute overtime period, and then after that, if it's still a tie game, it ends up being a tie game.
And the first team that scores wins, right?
Yes, just like the NFL. The thing is that they end up having 2 coin flips. One coin flip is to see which type of overtime is played, and then the other coin flip is done to see who gets the ball first or whatever. And so that's the weird part in the Northwest Football League.
That is weird. So we have the option of going, and it's totally probability whether we go to overtime.
It depends on who wins that first coin toss, because they take the first coin toss, and the team who wins that decides which format they're going to play, and then they have a second coin toss, and then that's decided who gets the ball first or whatever. And of course, in college football, if you win the toss, you always want to go on defense first, because then if you stop them, you know what you have to do and even if you don't stop them, you know exactly what you have to do. But when you play the NFL overtime, you just want the ball first.
Swing pass to Casey. Casey had a little room to roam, but kept getting slowed down by these little guys coming up and hitting him, and he actually didn't get any yardage.
Yeah, I think he actually lost a yard there, but that was still a gutty run. He took a lot of hits before he was taken down, and that shows a lot of guts on Gallagher's part. That's going to make him a hard guy to tackle going up the middle. We're coming up on 5.5 minutes here, and it's 3rd and long, and the Thunderbolts are going to need a conversion here to keep this thing going.
I think they ought to throw it back to Morgan Will here, number 89. Keep an eye on the tight end. They want to use that short pass to yard. Or Gallagher's open out here. Nope, drop play inside Harden. They were looking for that. No one got fooled, and the defense was right there. He's still got 4 yards, but he's going to be short. And now it's going to be decision time.
Here comes Dan Franz out, so that's going to be another kick. And if there's any time for Danny to boot one here, 50, 60 yards, this would be it right here, and put the Bengals deep in their own territory. And that would be especially good in that the Bengals haven't moved the ball very much today, and if they go 3 and out, that would give the Thunderbolts a very good field position. So Danny, we need a big one from you right here.
Well, he has the wind at his back now, and that's an advantage here in the 4th quarter. Although the wind might have changed direction.
It's done it 3 or 4 times. There's a nice ground ball. And it's a fake. It's a fake and then a kick, and then he gets hit. But,
Sio Fakatufafita with the ball. And Thunderbolts all over him. That was, again, number 5, Jake Hendricks.
And look at Dan Franz. He's giving the white hat, the referee, a bad time about that, because after he kicked the ball, he got hit. But from personal experience,
okay if he's
I can tell you something. Because he ran with the ball first, you're more likely out of the helmet or whatever.
Well, I think he was telling the official, I've never been hit before.
And punters and kickers are like that. Anytime they get hit, they think it's a penalty. So just ask owner Mike Erickson when he used to kick. He used to think that as well, and he probably still does.
Who has the ball?
That was a nice gutty run, whoever that was. We'll get his number and get his name.
No, I was watching number 32 because he looked like he had the ball, but he didn't even have the ball. He was just running down the field.
It was actually Kevin Clark, number 33, who had it, and that was a nice run. That got him a first down. Wow, that was nice misdirection.
Bengals now have a chance to win this game on this drive if they can get some points. They have 3 minutes and 40 seconds to go here, and again, no passing attack for either team, especially the Pierce County Bengals. Yeah. So they're going to have to do it on the ground, and they got a long ways to go. Although they probably could kick a field goal if they could get it between the uprights. And we don't know what Haran's range is. And they still do have John Adair. He's the old kicker that we were talking about. He's wearing number 62 this year. I think he always wore that number. All right, but we'll have to see what his range is. No gain, 0, right? Maybe minus yardage. But Adair.
logically speaking, you're looking at least having to get to the 35 or even the 30 of the Thunderbolts. They're at their own 30, so that's at least 40 more yards that they need. 3 or 4 first downs before they can even think about that. And now we're already down to 2:40 to go.
Yeah, they seem to be taking their sweet time in the huddle,
and
totally unconcerned with the clock.
And it seems to be that maybe they're just playing for overtime. We will have this clock stoppage at 2 minutes for the 2-minute warning, but
well, if we go with the Kansas plan now, there will be a winner.
Yes, but if you go to the NFL one, then the game can end up in a tie. And there's a nice run by Clark again, but he got good 7-8 yards on that play.
Robert Kellis made the stop, but it's still going to be 3rd down and 4. And actually, he might have went sideways farther because he didn't seem to advance.
All right, and here we are at the 2-minute warning. And there's a chance that,
Well, all I'm saying is I thought with that Kansas plan it was inherent that somebody wins the game.
Oh, yeah,
They
you're
just
right.
keep going.
Right, you just keep going.
Until
Exactly.
someone wins.
So now the defense has 2 minutes to go to survive the 4th quarter and push this game into overtime. And so far they've done the job. They have 3rd down and a long 3 for the offense here. Doesn't look like this is going anywhere.
But Clark got enough. Another crossbuck, another misdirection play, a trap, and he got just enough for the 1st down. But again, they don't seem to be in any hurry, Tim. I mean, it's 1:45, and they're not rushing up to the line. They need at least another 35 yards before they can think about a field goal.
And they're not calling timeouts.
And they're not calling timeouts. Exactly right. I just think that Coach Baines is playing for the OT here.
That's kind of ridiculous if you would play for OT when you have the ball with an opportunity.
On the other hand, maybe he's looking at the fact that the offense hasn't moved the ball very much, and that in the Kansas plan overtime, he has the ball at the Thunderbolt 25 in his turn, and maybe that's why he's trying to go. He's trying to go for that. He knows that he has a better chance of scoring if they go into overtime.
Doesn't want to throw it up in the air and risk an interception.
That's what I'm thinking. He's thinking because they don't seem to be in any hurry. That got next to nothing, if anything. So I'm pretty sure that's what they're going to do, and I think the
Thunderbolts
Thunderbolts
going to kill some clock too.
Right, and the Thunderbolts are just going to let them do that and conserve their timeouts.
Oh, absolutely. The Thunderbolts would be really dumb to call a timeout at this point. They don't have the ball.
Mike said to de-emphasize that.
So we will be on TV
A week from Tuesday.
A week behind. A week from Tuesday.
A week from Tuesday.
At 8 o'clock on Channel 11. But you already know that because you're tuned in.
Because you're tuned in right now.
Big pass rush. Pass. Out of bounds. Short of the 1st down. 15 seconds left, and now the Bengals may have changed their mind. Heck, let's go for it. We got some time left. It's too late.
Michael Evans made the catch, but it is short. You're right. It is short of a 1st down. But why, after taking all that time off the clock, would they now go for it? Maybe what they're thinking is, with 15 seconds to go, we'll just lob it up there, and the chance of them bring it back 100 yards or something like that would be less and less than if they went for it before. I guess I can see.
Seen anybody throw it that far.
Well, that could be out of the foul, as far as I know. Now, I haven't heard whether they've changed it or not. I didn't have a chance to go talk to the officials, but third and about 5. So,
well, the defense I kind of expected to be in a prevent mode, but is up and tight and putting on some pressure. Ball's deep, and it's picked off.
Jake Hendricks made the pickoff.
What a play. That was the most excitement we've seen today. And the Bengals pull one out of their hat. They send it the ball deep. Thought they could get open, and it backfired on them.
The problem there, Tim, was that Brown underthrew the ball. The Bengal receiver had Hendricks beat, and if he would have thrown the ball with the right amount of oomph on it, that would have been 6 points. He had him beat by 2 good steps, but because he underthrew the ball, Hendricks came back, that was a great catch. It looked like with one hand to make that interception.
It was the ghost of Van Velarde.
The ghost of Van Velarde living in Jake Hendricks makes that interception. And I think quarterback Wade Sparks is going to take a knee, and we're going to have overtime here, folks.
5 seconds left on the clock.
Wade's a good quarterback, but I don't think he can throw it 90 yards, but he's going to throw anyway.
Ooh.
That might have been the swinging gate play, but that still leaves a second to go.
Nightingale doesn't catch it, and fortunately for the Thunderbolts, the Bengals don't catch it and run it in for 6.
Exactly.
They can't afford that with 1 second left in the game.
And that's why I thought they would just kneel on the ball. You're too close to your end zone to be throwing or fumbling the ball, throwing an interception or fumbling the ball, where this game could be over right now on a defensive touchdown by the Bengals.
I want the hook and ladder.
How about overtime?
But I think we're going to go into overtime here. Barring a miracle, either way here, this is going into overtime.
And look how deep the defense is. The safeties are way back. And they're going to throw it again. And Harris
catches it, but again, maybe
padding his stats.
Maybe gets a first down, but it's irrelevant. We're going to overtime. So now we'll see if they've changed that rule in the Northwest Football League, and then see if they have 2 coin tosses. Okay. Are we going to see the method?
That is weird.
Somebody has to break the goose egg.
Okay, so we suppose that the Thunderbolts won the first toss and elected to go with the Kansas plan. 1st and 10 from the 25, and then get the second opportunity after the Bengals go first.
And I think they actually only threw the toss once, so maybe they just changed it just to the simple Kansas plan, and whoever wins the toss gets the choice. Because I saw them only toss the coin once. They looked over at the Thunderbolts, and the Thunderbolts must have said, we'll go on defense first, and which left the Bengals with the ball and the choice of which way they wanted to go. And usually they go towards the clock, but because time isn't a factor, they're not even going to bother with it. They're just going to go away from the clock and go to that end.
And also the wind has been blowing against that. Maybe that's part of it.
And
now,
if you look
number
at
91, Greg Gadbaugh, he's made some fantastic plays and batted some passes down, but he missed a tackle there. But actually, it would have been about a 1-yard loss, and it's only a 2-yard gain.
Oh, and that should be a false start on number 65, and we'll get his name, Eric Stoddard from Capitol High School. He's a two-way guy, offensive and defensive line, but he took off too early. So now instead of 2nd and 9, it's going to be 2nd and 14.
Well, and that's going to back him up.
Right, and again, we don't know about Adair or Haran's range, whoever it is that ends up doing the kicking, but my personal experience from Adair could hit one from here, but I don't know about Haran. But no more penalties. They can't take any more penalties, or I think they're going to be out of field goal range.
Well, it's interesting that they kicked their last field goal with Haran, and that was down in close. You'd think that if Adair's a little older, maybe has less leg strength, but maybe more accurate, they might have went with him in close.
And maybe Adair just said, hey, the turf is too wet, I don't want to try, I don't want to hurt myself. But, again, we'll just have to see. But I think they probably need to get closer just in case.
Oh, yeah. Maybe looking at 47 yards from here, 45 yards. So it's 2nd down and 15. Stump gonna try and pass. Big rush.
Oh, man. And that looked like Michael Evans got away from Sal Corona, and this time Stump threw the ball as far as he needed to get the points, to get the touchdown. Somehow Evans got away from Corona. I don't know how. And that was all that was needed.
And number 88, Nathan Berge, was almost on the man on the spot with the sack. But day late and about $6 short this time.
At least 6 points short.
And now the Thunderbolts going to try and prevent a seventh dollar.
And of course we know that and here's Haran for the all-important extra point. And does he get that one through? Yes, he does. So the Thunderbolts have their work cut out for them. They need 7 points, or they lose this ball game.
But at least they have the opportunity to get their shot, and they're going to go in the same direction, I guess, to make it fair, the same goalpost and everything, same win factor. It's going to be a run. Number 18, and that is Lionel Chapman, who played wide. He's listed as a wide receiver, and he played at Gresham High School, 5'10", 180. I'm trying to remember. I see a lot of Gresham High School I have a friend that coaches there, and I'm trying to remember if I remember his name.
And
anyway, big gain.
And contrary to what the PA announcer just said, that is not a first down. It's just barely short, so it's second down and very short. Nice run by Chapman, though, to get close to the first down.
I just can't see the Thunderbolts losing this game the way they've dominated on both sides of the ball. They should be able to just smash it right in there.
It would be a major disappointment if that happened. And it looks like Chapman got enough for the first down here.
He didn't get much more, but I think he did get enough.
That's all they needed. As long as you get that ball past the line, that's all you need.
That's a possibility. I wouldn't probably do it. You got a Dan France kicking.
If they use the college, Scott brings up a good point. If they use the college Kansas plan from the 25, every third inning or overtime or whatever, you have to go for 2, so that way you don't go into 10 overtimes trying to break a tie. So, but I don't think, until you have to do it, I don't think you should do it. Just go for the tie, especially if you're behind.
Touchdown.
And that could be a touchdown. Yes, it is. Andre Harris. All right.
That smelled like a touchdown. That tasted like a touchdown.
And it was a touchdown. It walked and it talked and it quacked like a touchdown. That was a nice throw by Sparks. He got it right into the gut of Andre Harris. I didn't see who he beat, but he beat the Bengals.
Harris was there. He was ready for the ball.
Right.
He knew it was a touchdown too.
And now he's walking off the field like a monkey in celebration.
Well, now it's up to Dan France to put us into second overtime here. If he fails in this kick, since the Bengals converted, the game is over right here. Huge play. And now the Thunderbolts have had some questions on their deep snapping. Number 50, Abel Martinez. He's a center from Mount Angel, 5'11", 260. Has been practicing through the third quarter at that snap. And that's a decent one, and Franz has got to have it.
That looks good to me.
He's got it.
So off we go to a second overtime.
And I don't think that the Bengals are going to get lucky on the deep pass again.
All right, they have to do another coin toss.
And then is it up to a team to pick an end?
Well, now hold on. I think it's the same thing. No, wait a minute. They're just saying it's Bengal ball first. Okay. Let's see.
I bet Baines is happy about that.
I don't think they went off the field like a monkey. I think it was, look at the size of my nose. I think that's what that is.
So now we don't have the normal second coin toss. Give the Bengals the opportunity to win back their advantage of going second. And the Bengals have to go first again, and so they have the ball hit first and 25 in second overtime.
Well, first and 10 from the 25.
Fakatufafita in motion. Sio Fakatufafita open in the corner. Catches the ball, and it's a fair, modest gain, but it's not going to be a first down.
It looked like about 8 that time.
He came out of the backfield and went motion and then dropped out in the flat, and no one was there. And the ball was thrown well, although the coverage was good after he caught it.
So second and short, but again, now they're still a good 17, 18 yards away from the end zone. So there is a little room to roam here.
Well, I think that was a good call. It kind of took the Thunderbolts used to seeing the up-the-middle running attack, and that kind of put them on their heels maybe, throwing them a curveball with the flat pass out of the backfield.
And it looked like it worked. I mean, 8 yards on first down, but let's see if the defense can stiffen here.
CO in motion again, actually from the slot. Handoff out inside.
And Stokes gets inside the 10, and it's a first and goal now because he got inside the 10. So now it's a lot like the old high school Kansas plan where from the 10-yard line you had 4 plays. Well, now from just inside the 10, they'll have 4 plays to get a TD.
Or a field goal?
Or a field goal, exactly. So,
can there be a defensive touchdown?
Not in this type of overtime, no. The defense cannot score. Once they gain possession of the ball, the offensive team's possession is terminated, and then the Thunderbolt offense would come out. So they can get a fumble recovery or an interception. That's it. And it looks like Bengals are going to take a timeout. All right.
Well, it's not real easy to return an interception for a touchdown. I mean, you got to catch the ball and you got to get through a lot of traffic.
Yeah, but then again, once you get through that traffic, you have a lot of real estate, about 90 yards of it.
If you're fast enough.
If you're fast enough.
If you're the right guy catching the ball. If you're like a number 95, you're going to have to get your work cut out for you. First and goal. Bengals, second overtime. David Stump. Got a big rush. Batted down.
Mike London.
And Greg Gadbaugh with the big pressure.
He forced Stump to throw the ball earlier than he wanted to.
He had to get rid of it actually, he paid the price anyway.
Yep, yeah, he got hit anyhow. So there's a good defensive play by the Thunderbolts, and again, it would have been nice if London, if he just could have intercepted the ball instead of batted that away.
And run it back for a touchdown?
Well, since he can't do that, but at least it would have terminated the Bengals' possession, and then now all you need is 3 to win instead of a possible 7 to tie or a 3 to tie or whatever, but the Bengals score no points. Now they still have 3 more chances to score here.
Well, maybe he did that because he wants to play 3 more downs. No, it was a nice play by London. And sometimes you just can't get your whole 2 hands up there to catch that ball.
You can get
just one hand and do the best you can.
Right, try to blow up the play.
Big pass rush again.
And that's intercepted. But there is a flag down. There is a flag down, and I don't like how this looks. I don't like how this looks.
What happens if that's pass interference on the defense?
Well, if it's pass interference on the defense, then since if they play the pro interpretation and it happened in the end zone, they're going to put the ball at the 1 yard line with the first down. But if they play college,
pass interference against the defense.
Yep, I didn't like how that looked. So now it's going to be first and goal, either from the 5 or the 1. Let's see where they put the ball.
So either half the distance.
It's either half the distance, or in the NFL, when pass interference happens in the end zone, the ball is placed at the 1 yard line.
But how do they call it in Seattle?
Well, I guess we're about to find out here.
We're in Tacoma.
We're in Tacoma, and they're putting the ball at the 1 yard line, so they're using the pro interpretation. So now it's first and goal from the 1. So again, like earlier on in the game, when they had the ball first and goal at the 1, the Thunderbolts need another defensive stand.
First and goal, Bengals from the 1.
And that was too bad.
It looked like there was some contact down there, but the Thunderbolts guy is the one that caught the ball, and the Bengal guy was kind of hanging on him when he caught it.
Yeah, and it could. We didn't see what happened
before that.
Yes, we didn't see what happened before that, so it's tough to tell which way that went, but.
Now, are they changing the spot?
Well, let's see what they're doing. Yes, it appears that they are. It appears that maybe it is supposed to be half the distance instead of. It's supposed to be the college interpretation instead of the pro interpretation.
Well, this is the Kansas plan.
This is true. This is true. But then again, we're supposed to play pro pass interference rules, and this is
in Tacoma.
This is what we talked about for years during our officials meetings before the game. It's like, well, every time you change one rule, it ends up screwing up other rules, and so now we're trying to figure out what's going on here.
Well, it appears that they're going to spot the ball at the 5, half the distance to the goal. Nope, now they're moving it. No, now they're marking out. No,
It looks like the 1 yard line. It looks like they're using the pro interpretation. But see, the flag itself was actually in the end zone, and so we only have to assume that that's where the interference actually happened. It could have happened at the 1 ostensibly as well. So, but regardless, it's first and goal for the Bengals.
First and goal.
We'll see if they can push that big D line out of the way. Nope, it's going to be a pass, and almost picked off.
That time it was Sal.
Fakatupafita.
And it was Sal Corona who came in and knocked that one down.
Sal Corona gives up several inches in height to Fakatupafita, but he played it well. And I'm just kind of surprised that the Bengals, with first down on the 1, weren't running. They're a running team, and it's
settled
kind of
for a field goal.
Right,
exactly.
Get a yard.
Now there's the run on second down, and that time they get in. Kevin Clark got in that time. So once again, the extra point becomes big, and the Thunderbolts will have to match whatever it is that the Bengals do here.
going to be wild to have a game like 35 to 34. Where it was actually 0-0
0 at the end of regulation. Yes, that would be pretty wild. I think that would drive our director Scott nuts here if that happened that way. He would probably delete out all of the regulation and just play the overtimes.
Well, this game's actually moved on pretty quickly. Sometimes the longer games, we end up running out of time on our time slot, and so we have to edit out portions of the games.
Yeah,
hopefully we start with timeouts, injuries, and quarters and those things. But sometimes we end up having to make other cuts to fit the time.
Well, once again, guess what?
Thurston 10 Thunderbolts.
And they have to match exactly what the Bengals did last overtime.
And they come out with the same exact play they did last time. Lionel Chapman, only he didn't get the yardage he got last time, but he did get 3 or 4.
And do I miss my guess here when I say that Lionel Chapman didn't play at all during the regulation, and now in overtime he's getting the ball?
He was, but now he's coming out, and Harden's coming back in. But that is interesting.
Yeah, because I don't think I remember seeing him out there for a play offensively during the regulation time, and now overtime comes around and there he is. So not exactly sure what's behind that.
Second down and, well, at least 9. Pitch to Harden. Got some blocks. Running high. Actually, Harden, wasn't his last play the fumble?
I believe so, but there's also a flag down.
So maybe the coach pulled him out after the fumble, although it didn't sound like he could do any wrong at halftime.
Yeah, but we do have a flag down, and I think that's going to cost the Thunderbolts are going to pay the price there.
Pass interference. Yeah, huge pass interference play.
Exactly, but other than that, not a lot of penalties.
So it's second down and 4 after the offsides. Harden thought he saw a hole, and now he's reaching for a yard. But that was read pretty well by the defense.
He got stacked up pretty good by Brandon Mike. Oh, maybe it's Mike Brandon. They may have this backward, but it says Brandon Mike.
If it's going to go into midnight, I'm shutting down.
Gain of, I can't even tell, maybe a yard.
Maybe, if we're lucky.
Third down and 3, and so now the Thunderbolts have to choose between a ground game, which the Bengals seem to be stacking up against, or risking the pass. Of course, they do have 2 downs here.
That's true. They are in 4-down territory. I mean, they have to score 7 points, or the game's over with. At least 7 points.
Sparks back to throw. Got some protection. Batted down. Could have maybe been caught by the quarterback, Sparks. It looked like Casey Gallagher was there, but the ball didn't make it that far.
Well, now this is where the rubber meets the road. You gotta have a conversion here. You either have to have a penalty that gives you a first down, or you gotta have a score. But something's got to happen here, or the game's over with.
Bengals lead 14-7. All the points have come in overtime. And the Thunderbolts backs against the wall. 4th down, and they got to get about 3 yards down to the 15-yard line. Sparks, quick throw. Harris has got it. Harris didn't have it, but I knew he'd get it.
That was a nice move by Harris to juke out one guy, go further outside, and get the necessary yardage for the first.
He just lunged.
But he got the necessary yardage for the first down, and that's what they needed. That was a big play. That was a big play by Andre Harris.
Well, we've seen all our big plays here in overtime. Well,
most of them, anyway. Most of them.
First down Thunderbolts, and they can still get another first down at about the 3 and go in from there. Or they could get maybe a pass interference call in the end zone to make up for the last one, and it would make this game into a 3rd overtime, which we really want to see here. Just so we know if they make them go for 2. Sparks got some time, losing time. Got to throw it. Does catch, drop.
I think he was just trying to throw it away because he knew everybody was covered, and that was actually a good effort by Will. He almost got the catch and almost 1 foot inbounds for the touchdown. But
is it 1 foot or 2?
It's 1 foot in the NWFL, feet or 1 knee.
And 10 after the incompletion. Sparks hands off to Harden. Harden trying to take it outside, trying to take it in the end zone. Touch.
No, and we have a late flag. I don't like the looks of that. I think that's a holding. He didn't get into the end zone.
Could be an illegal, oh no, Bengals like it.
No, that looks like it was a holding. The way it was thrown and where it was thrown, it was probably holding. And that's unfortunate. That was a nice run by Harden. He almost got into the end zone. It looks like inside, from where the official is standing, it looks like he got just to the 1 yard line, but with the flag, that
now
may
it's
cost
downfield
them.
Holding, it looks like, so they're going to
Right, it would be 10 yards from the flag, which looks like it's at about the 6 yard line. So it would set them back to the 16, and in which case they would only lose about 3 yards in the exchange when you look at it that way. And that appears to be what it was. No, actually they called clipping. And so that's 15 yards, so now they end up losing even more yardage on the exchange. But it could have been worse if that clipping was at the line of scrimmage. They'd even be further back. So
now the officiating starting to make its mark here in overtime. The Bengals had the big pass interference call, which I thought was kind of iffy. There was so much contact between the receiver and the defensive back, and the defensive back ended up catching the ball. And now Moreland against the Thunderbolts here leaves them 2nd and 15 out at about the 19-yard line. Although they did get the down over.
That is unfortunate.
Sparks, Harden cuts it back. Missed tackle. He's ball in the air. Ball in the end zone.
And let's see who ends up with it. If the Thunderbolts end up with it, it's a touchdown. If the Bengals end up with it, and it's a touchdown. That ball
craziness.
That ball was a grease pig, and it looked like everybody got their hands on it until we couldn't see who the Thunderbolt was, but it looked like it was either Rod Nightingale or Andre Harris.
Too small.
Or it was somebody in a white uniform hopped on that ball at the end.
Because one of the Bengals, a big Bengal, was laying on it at the end, and then about 3 guys dove on top of him. It could have been 61. It was somebody that could have muscled that ball away from a huge defensive line.
If it was 61, that's the largest Thunderbolt, the 6'8", 360-pound Matt Matthews, and not much is going to get away from it. That's a timeout for
the Thunderbolts. Capitalize on was that the Holy Roller play? Harden, full recovery by, we think, Matt Matthews, who must have stolen the ball away. And now, as I was going to say, the Thunderbolts have to convert, and they do.
I'll tell you, I can't. You know something? Other than a big route win, I can't think of a better way to start the 2000 season for the Thunderbolts, especially in dramatic style.
I think I need my heart pills. We now have triple overtime, 14-14. Bengals, and the officials have spotted the ball at the 10-yard line. So the Bengals are going to go from there, and then we will see if they have to go for 2, which is sometimes done. Handoff inside.
There's that misdirection play again, and it was Kevin Clark,
33.
And Clark's actually had a pretty good game.
He
running the football.
He had some tacklers on him in that play, and he broke loose and got in there.
And he got a little more than 5 yards on that play. So, again, I guess the defenses just did their job up until overtime, and now overtime comes around, and maybe they're just too tired by now, and that's what it is. You know, that and the fact that both offenses have fewer yards to go to get into the end zone, as opposed to the most of the game where they seem to have to go forever to get into the end zone.
Yeah, because the Bengals probably have more yards in between the overtime 25-yard line stretches than they had accrued in the whole regulation.
I think you're right.